guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in case you didn't see my last video, I've been winning a lot of giveaways lately, and so I've been obtaining a bunch of new books that need to go on my shelves. And I actually watch a bunch of other booktube channels, and I've noticed that the videos where you clear off your bookshelves seem to do really well. Now usually they're doing this to get rid of books, but I'm kind of a hoarder and I don't like to get rid of things, so I'm not going to be actually getting rid of any books today. I'm just going to be moving them downstairs to storage. That's kind of hard to get to, so I wouldn't access them very often. So yeah, I thought it'd be fun to make a YouTube video of me clearing off my shelves, so I hope you enjoy. So mainly the things I'm going to be looking for that I'm going to be taking off my shelves is books I'm really not planning to read, like, soon. Or books that just look old, because I kind of want my shelves to look more updated and newer. So I really think the end goal is to have enough space to put a lot more books on the shelves, and also I have a book drawer in my dresser, and it's just a drawer full of books, and I kind of want to get those on a shelf as well. Okay, so the first book I think I'm going to choose to take off my shelf is Call Me Maria. This is one of those books I got when my high school put out boxes of books that were free, and I just went through them and grabbed all the ones that even looked slightly interesting. And so I really don't have much interest in reading this book at this point, and it's just kind of sitting on my shelf collecting dust, and it even looks a little bit old. It's newer than some of the books I have on my shelf, but it doesn't look as nice as I would like it to on my shelf. So I could see myself reading this at some point, just not soon. So I also have this copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I kind of really don't want to take it off my shelf because it's a classic, but also it's really old and it doesn't go with the look I'm wanting to go for. So I'm kind of torn between the two, but I think I will take it off my shelf. And I might just put it in my sister's room so it's not as hard to access. Also, I think my sisters would really enjoy this book, so it would be good for them too. And right next to it was The Chemo Kid, which was another book I got free from my school library. And I can't see myself even reading this at all. And it just looks so old and it's small, so it's really not even that good looking on my shelf. It's just really plain, and the story doesn't even sound that interesting to me, honestly. I don't even know why I picked this up. So I also have Down the Yukon, which is yet another book I got from my school, which honestly I'm probably going to be taking a lot of books that were from my school off my shelves because they're so beat up and nobody would ever read them. It's why they were getting rid of them. This one really doesn't even look that interesting to me at this point, but I might, who knows, maybe read it in the future, so I will be taking this one off my shelf. So now I have a few more. First I have Hit and Run by R.L. Stine, and I absolutely love R.L. Stine's writing style, and this one I actually didn't get from my school library. I got it from a library book sale, so I actually paid money for this, but I can't see myself reading it in the near future, but I can see myself reading it eventually, so I'll just be moving it to the downstairs storage. Then we have Hip Hop High School, which when I read the back of this, it sounded interesting when I got it. It was one of those books I got from school, but I can't see myself reading it anytime soon, like a lot of the books on my shelf. So I'll be putting this in downstairs storage. And honestly, the cover's really beat up. See, it's ripped in some places where people took stickers off, which I didn't see the point in that because I don't mind stickers on my books, but yeah, it's really beat up. This is also another Hit and Run book. It's by a different author though, so it's not the same book. And I think the story just sounds so interesting, and I would definitely read this at some point, but again, not in the near future. And the cover is just so old, because it just looks so old and there's stickers all over it, and it's just not what I'm going for. So after that, I have 3 of the Indiana Jones books, and these books hold a special place in my heart because I absolutely loved them when I was a kid. I read the first 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Temple of Doom, multiple times. And I didn't usually read books multiple times because I'd always want to read new books, but these I read over and over and over. I probably read these about 6 times each, but I've never actually read this one. So these are special to me, but I think I'm going to put them in my sister's room because I think they might actually enjoy them. So next I'm choosing Into the Wild, and I'm taking this one off my shelf because really the only reason I own it is because my parents bought it for me for school, and we ended up not even actually reading this book. We just kind of skipped it. So I have this book, and I don't even really know what it's about, really. All I know is this man, gave $25,000 to charity, made a new name for himself, left his car somewhere, and then he was found dead a few days later. So the story sounds interesting to me, and I feel like I could eventually read this, but not anytime recent. It's probably going to keep sitting on my shelf forever, and there's a very high chance I'm probably never going to read it. So it's going in the downstairs storage. I also have In the Heat of the Night, which is apparently about a person who finds the dead body of a composer in the street, and they're trying to figure out who killed him. And this just looks old, and it's in really bad condition, and I love murder mysteries, but I can't see myself reading this anytime soon, and I did get it for free, so it's not like I spent a lot of money on it, thank goodness, but it's gonna go downstairs. Now this next one, some of you might be like, why in the world are you taking that off your shelf? But I'm going to be taking Mary Poppins off my shelf just because the cover is so old, and I've never actually even read the book. I just happened to own it. I caught it on sale one time for 50 cents, I believe, at the library, so I bought it because it was a well-known book. But I think my sisters might enjoy it more than me, so I think I'm going to put it in their room. Next I have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey, and I actually read this book originally my junior year of high school for a project in my educational media tech class, and I wasn't even that interested in it, but then I gave it away the next year, so I took it because I thought, well, maybe I'll be interested in it in the future, but it's not even that good of a copy, and it's just in bad condition, and I'm probably not going to read it anytime soon, so I'm taking it off my shelf. For the Night of the Howling Dogs, I used to be in a book fair every year, and one year this boy did this book, and then they gave it away a few years later at my school, so I grabbed it because I recognized the book, but I'm not even that into wolves or anything, so I'm probably never even going to read it. Then we have The Namesake, which I feel like a lot of people have heard of this book, but I've never even read what it's about or anything. It is a nice copy, but I'm just not going to read it. After that we have Out of My Mind, which I picked this up at a book sale, I would say for about 50 cents, and I really don't think I'm ever going to read it. Even as I'm reading the back, it doesn't sound like something I would even read. So I don't even know why I bought this thing. But it's actually a decently nice copy, although there is some wear and tear on it, but I could have much nicer books on my shelf than this. Then we have Raptor, which my ex actually borrowed from me back when we were dating last year, and he had it for months, so I never actually read it when I was still interested in it, and I'm not even that interested anymore. In fact, my sisters might even read it, although I doubt it. So this will definitely either go in my sister's room or downstairs. So I do have the Redwall series, And I'm debating taking all of the books off except for the first book and the graphic novel. Except I feel like I kind of want to keep all of the series together. Like, I don't want to separate them because I feel like that's just wrong in my eyes. But I really only enjoyed the first book. And after the first book, I was just kind of like, I kind of didn't want to read anymore. Like, I do own the graphic novel of the first book as well. So I would want those in my room, but I don't know about the rest of them. But I think I am going to split them up anyway. And I'm going to take the rest of the series off the shelf because they're all not in very good condition. And I'm going to keep the first book and the graphic novel on my shelf. So then we have Stargirl, which I know there's a movie coming out of this, but first of all, it's on Disney Plus, which we don't even have, so I'm not even going to end up watching the movie. And also, I know pretty much nothing about the story because the back of this tells me nothing. So I think my sister was interested, at least in the movie, so she might actually read the book, so I'm going to put it in my sister's room and see if they read it. Probably not, though. Then we have Shutter Island, which I got from my school, but a teacher actually donated this, so it's in much better condition than it would have been if it had come from the actual media center. But I can't see myself reading this because it's a historical fiction. I'm not a huge fan of that genre, so I probably wouldn't read this soon. So Shiver is actually near and dear to my heart because I had this really good friend my sophomore year who loved this book. This was her favorite book. And she would talk about all the time, and I really wanted to read it because she was such a good friend of mine and I wanted to read something that she was excited about. And they ended up giving this away the year after she left, after she graduated, and I grabbed it. But I honestly can't even see myself reading this anytime soon. I'm going to be taking all of these off my shelf, and that's because all of them are pretty old except for Unsigned Type, which I did buy new. And I just can't see myself reading them. I know A Wrinkle in Time, a lot of you are going to be mad about, but I'm going to put it in my sister's room so they can read it because I think they would enjoy it a lot more than me, and they have a lot more time on their hands than me to actually read. So this is all the books I took off of these two big bookshelves. As you can see, there's definitely more space on the shelves, so hopefully I can get more books. So I do have this other shelf that is full of really old books, and I'm definitely going to be going through that, but I'm also running out of camera space, so I will probably not even record like me looking at the books because there's also not a good place for me to set up my camera, so I will just show you books when I come to them. So I've pulled these off my shelf already, and I'm not even done with the first shelf. As you can see, they're really torn up and just in really bad condition. And I love James Patterson as an author, but I took this one off the shelf because I'm really enjoying more his middle school books and not as much his adult and high school books. So I will be taking this off the shelf because I can't see myself reading it anytime soon. So I've got more old books off the shelf, and the two Ellery Queen books, I think they actually look really pretty. I'm going to take them off because they're just that old and I can't see myself reading them soon. And The Evaders, I don't want to take it out for a risk of dropping all these books. I actually had a teacher come up to me and say how he actually really loved that book, but he put it in the donation box because he wanted someone else to be able to read it. So I grabbed it because I thought it looked interesting. So I'll probably read it eventually, just not anytime soon. So this book is actually a really old book that I got for free. I'm going to keep it on my shelf just because I love it. That's just that much because I actually read this book. Funny story is my parents told me that I couldn't get any more books, so I snuck this onto the truck and smuggled it home. So they don't even know that I smuggled this home. So, yep, and I'm going to keep this on my shelf. So I got much more books, and I'm not even done with the second shelf yet. And I'm going to take this book off my shelf. It's Great Escapes. It's actually a pretty new series. I'm going to put it in my sister's room because I've heard it's good for fans of the I Survive series. I think they would enjoy it. So I just finished the second shelf and I pulled off another James Patterson novel that I'm probably not going to read anytime soon, and a random Christian romance that I picked up for free at a book giveaway at church. So next I'm choosing to take this Mandy book off my shelf because I've never actually been interested in Mandy in the first place, and it's just it's in pretty bad condition. I'm pretty sure I got it for free at the church book giveaway. I'm also taking these off my shelf, and the only thing I think out of these that is even looked interesting to me was the Kiss of Life book, which is probably one of the few books I got from my school that actually was pretty interesting and in decent condition. However, I think it's not even the first book in the series, so I don't even want to keep it on my shelf, especially because I don't want to read it before the first book. So I know this book looks really old, and it is really old, but I love this book so much. I haven't read all of it. I've only read the first couple of chapters, but I was already hooked by like the first paragraph. It was just that good. So I'm planning to keep this on my shelf even though it looks old. So I'm going to take these Mike Lupica books off my shelf because I am not a sports person, and these don't even look interesting to me because they're literally just about sports. But I did think the covers really cool, so that's why I grabbed them, because they were free anyway, but I will be taking them off my shelf now. So now I'm taking these off my shelf, just because they all are pretty old, and except for this one, it doesn't look too old, but this is a Psalms for Graduates book, and I grabbed it because I was graduating that year, and I'm not graduating anymore, because that day has passed. I'm also taking The Pilgrim's Progress off my shelf. Even though I know this is a famous book, I know I'm not going to be reading it anytime soon. We've only got one more shelf. Oh my gosh, low-key, that was a total Jessie the Reader moment. I feel like it might be fun to do a video where I imitate booktubers. I think that'll be fun. Leave a comment down below if you think I should. So these are all from the last shelf. So I'm done with the bookshelf over there. There's so much space on it, I'll show you in a minute. But I am taking these books off because they're all old, just like pretty much all the other books I took off the shelves. I think the only reason I picked up this book in the first place and brought it home is because the main character has the same name as me. It's Whirligig, in case you can't see it very well. So that's the only reason I picked it up. I don't even think I was that interested in the story. But yeah, it will be coming off my shelf now. So as you can see, I did actually keep some old books on my shelf, even though I said I was going to take pretty much all the old books off. But I only kept these books on the shelf because, like, in case I did end up wanting to read them, or if they did look interesting, or they were part of a series. And I didn't want to take the whole series off. So now I'm going through my book drawer, and I found these two that I forgot I even owned. I remember I owned this one, but this one I forgot I owned. And I will most likely be getting rid of these completely. This one, so I got them both from the same place. And basically it was a deal at Ollie's where you go in, and for as many books as you can fit in a cart, you paid, I think it was $2.99. So what I did is I just went in, and I would read like half of the description, or if I liked the cover enough, I would just put it in my basket, and then I went and paid for it. Well, in this case, I knew they were gay, but I didn't think it would be that bad, and I flipped through it when I got home and I saw it was that bad, so I'm probably going to get rid of it. I don't want this in my house anymore. And this one, I read half the description, and it sounded clean to me, so I took it home, and when I got home I read the whole description, and I flipped through it, and it is very, very inappropriate, so I want to get this out of my house. I don't want this near me anymore at all. It grosses me out, honestly. So please, just don't read this book. Just, if you see it, don't pick it up. It's nasty. So this isn't a book I'm taking off my shelf. It's Serpent and Dove, in case you can't see. I just wanted to point out that I actually had this advanced reader copy back before it was like really popular. And apparently now there's a second book out now, and that one is also really popular. So it's kind of crazy that I own this before anybody was even talking about it. So that was just pretty cool in my opinion. So I'll be taking this book out of my book drawer, which doesn't really help me much at all because, as you can see, it's literally that thin. It's not even the whole book. It's literally just an excerpt from the new Raleigh Jefferson book, or at least it was new about a year ago. I think there's another book out now from Raleigh Jefferson, but I will be putting this in my sister's room so they can read it because they will probably enjoy it a lot more, and it's just been sitting in my book drawer for a little over a year. So I think I'm gonna be getting rid of this book as well. It's called The Best at It, and I grabbed it because the story sounded interesting, but the main character is gay. So, and I'm probably never even gonna read it, even though I picked it up to take home. So I'm gonna be getting rid of this, I would say, unless I just change my mind completely last minute and decide not to go through with it. But I'm gonna add it to my get rid of pile. So I will not be putting Jersey Tomatoes Are the Best on my shelf, even though it sounds like a super cute story about two friends who are totally there for each other whenever they need it. But I will not be getting rid of this. I'll just put it in downstairs storage, just because it sounds like a cute story. So yeah, these are all the books I'm either getting rid of or taking off of my shelf, and not all of them were in the video, so yeah, I didn't have time to fit them all in. And I will put how many they are. I will count them and I'll put the number somewhere on here on the screen. I also decided to take these two books off my shelves. I'm taking off The Hive because I think my sisters would enjoy that a lot more. I'm taking off Goosebumps because I think the other books in the series are in my sister's room anyway. So I'm going to be taking those off my shelf as well. So I decided last minute to take this book called Unbreakable off of my shelf because it's actually the second book in a series and I've never even seen the first book. So yeah, this one's going to come off my shelf even though the cover looks awesome, but it is a little worn. This is so you can see the cover a little better. So I did just get this book. It's called What If It's Us, and I will be getting rid of it completely because it's about two gay boys. And I just don't want to read that. And I wanted a giveaway, but it was a giveaway for a stack of books, and I had no control over every single book in the stack. So, yeah, so I ended up getting this, and I'm going to get rid of it. So now I'm going to take the time to put a bunch of books on my shelves, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. So as you can see, I ended up adding a few more to take off my shelf. So yeah, I'll put the actual number down below here. But these aren't super filled in, but I put all of my books on a shelf, so that's pretty nice. As you can see, they look a lot newer than my shelves looked before. It looks much nicer. And then this is my other shelf here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button down below and comment down below what you would like me to do next. But anyway, until next time, bye!